Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in MTG. I'm your host, Nitsa Hone, and this is a weekly recap and analysis of this week's big Magic the Gathering news, all in one video that is 10 minutes or less. This video goes up every week on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This week, we're looking at the results of the Magic World Championship from last weekend, some key spoilers from Kaladesh, and the announcement of another very cool special event on Magic Online. We'll start with the World Championships, and the big takeaway of the weekend is that Braun-Duin was Magic's World Champion. His story is actually a pretty interesting one, as he narrowly made it into the field. He was helped out by the suspension earlier this year of Fabrizio Anteri, who was ahead of him as the Grand Prix Master, which is what he qualified as, and he was one of the few non-platinum pros in the field of 24. None of that mattered, though, as he won more than anyone else and won the $70,000 prize for being Magic's World Champion, and he also will earn the well-deserved status of Platinum for next year. So congratulations to him. The event standard was also a completely unbalanced format, as has been the case lately for standard events, as 6 of the top 8 players played 4 copies of Collected Company, so I'm really glad that that card is rotating, and it will be really refreshing for standard. All right, so now let's get into some of the Kaladesh spoilers of the last week. Obviously, we're not going to look at all of them, but we're going to look at the ones generating the most buzz and discussion. First of all, we're going to look at the 2 Planeswalkers that have been spoiled. Actually, there's a third one, but we talked about it last week. And they are Chandra, Torch of Defiance, and Nissa, Vital Force. Both of these generating a lot of buzz. Chandra generating more, though. We knew this was her plane of Kaladesh. People just assumed she would appear in it, and of course she has. And she's very strong. If a Planeswalker can draw you cards and kill creatures, that's usually a pretty high quality Planeswalker, and she can do that and more. She gives you the ability to draw cards, but she also has the nice effect of, like, if you hit a land, which is something you can't play with it, you still get to do 2 damage to your opponent at least. And she's basically drawing you a card at the same time. She can also add double red to your mana pool, so in a way she can sort of ramp you into something. She can also kill something by doing 4 damage to it, and her emblem is pretty good, but obviously that's not usually going to come up. She has pretty high loyalty already. She's just very strong. People have talked about her probably even seeing play in Modern. She's pre-ordering at a ridiculous price. People are really hyped about the card, and I think it'll be pretty good, though maybe not quite as good as people are thinking, but that's easy to say when a card is super hyped. Meanwhile, Nissa does sort of the same thing. She can protect herself, and she can draw you cards. She costs 1 more mana, but she can also make giant elementals out of your lands. And it's important to note it says it becomes a 5/5 elemental creature until your next turn, so it can block on your opponent's turn. Also can draw you cards. They have to be from your graveyard, and they have to be permanents, but still. And her emblem, again, probably not that relevant, but occasionally it will come up, and it's pretty strong. So these 2 both generating a lot of buzz. Chandra more than Nissa. So the next thing we're going to look at is at least some of the cards from the Gearhulk cycle. As of when I'm recording this, 4 of them have been spoiled. The red one still has not been, but it's a really sweet mythic cycle. All the cards in it are really good. They really remind me of the Titan cycle from back in the day from the core sets. They were, really good creatures with enter the battlefield abilities that were very strong, and they had keywords attached to them as well. The one thing they had sort of different going on for them is they also did something when they attacked, but that was kind of OP, and I think that's why these don't do that. But man, Verdurous Gearhulk is a 5 mana 8/8 Trampler. That's what it can be, but it also has the flexibility of putting counters anywhere. Also, these indicate to us colored artifacts are back, although I'm not sure we've seen any others in the set except for these mythics, but some are going to be back anyway. But yeah, 5 mana 8/8 Trampler, and it can also be used to put counters elsewhere. Torrential Gearhulk, 6 mana Flash, for a 5/6, it's already pretty solid, but then you get to cast an instant card of any converted mana cost from your graveyard without paying for it. So it's kind of like, I don't know, super Snapcaster Mage on steroids. It's very strong. The fact that it has Flash means that you can trick your opponent with a lot of different things, too, from your graveyard. And then Noxious Gearhulk, also quite strong. 6 mana for a 5/4 with Evasion, Menace, and then it nukes any creature, doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I guess if it has Hexproof or Indestructible, it can't, but it's not situational removal. Additionally, if a creature is destroyed that way, you gain life. So it's just going to be, I think all 3 of these, well, I think Torrential Gearhulk and Noxious Gearhulk are going to see play in control decks in Standard. I don't see any reason they wouldn't. And Verdurous Gearhulk might see play in some more aggressive, stompy type decks in Standard. So there's also a white one that's out now. I didn't talk about it, but it's also quite good. They're all good. So we'll move on to our next little spoiler, and it is Pia Nalar. We thought she was dead. In the Magic Origins storyline, you were left thinking she was dead. Turns out she's not. She's also a pretty good card. 3 mana for a 1/1 Thopter and her own body, and then she can pump artifact creatures and sacrifice them to make a creature unable to block. I'm not 100% sure she'll see play in Constructed. I mean, it's entirely possible. I mostly just wanted to talk about her because everyone thought she was dead and she's not. Clearly her husband is, though. And the last spoilers we'll look at are probably the ones people are most excited, or maybe even most critical. People are being kind of critical of it too. And that is the Fastlane Cycle, the enemy-colored lands for the Fastlane Cycle. So the cycle has been completed. They always make sure they put some rare dual-colored lands in new sets. And, I think some people were hoping they would come up with a different idea instead of completing a cycle. But I think completing the cycle is nice. Fast lands are good. They're going to show up in Modern, too. These cards will probably be worth a decent amount of money because of that, unlike a lot of the recent lands that have come out. Like the creature lands from Zendikar block, like they don't see a whole lot of play in other formats outside of Standard, but these will for sure, just as the other fast lands do. So people are pretty excited about them, while also sometimes very critical. And we'll move to our final bit of news, and that is something I'm pretty excited about, some Magic Online news, and that is that there's going to be a special event from September 14th to 21st, a full Innistrad Sealed League. And what this means is you get packs from every card, from every block event, from both Innistrad block originally and Shadows over Innistrad block. You get packs from all of them, and you get to sort of build a deck out of all of those things. So it's a format that isn't possible basically otherwise on Magic Online, and isn't necessarily easy to set up in paper either. It'll probably be easier to set up online. And it's only around for a week, but I'm going to record and I plan on doing it a few times. I'm pretty excited about it in general. I think Wizards has been killing it on Magic Online this year for the most part. Magic Online still has the problems it's always had, but between the modern flashback, year of modern flashbacks, and the introduction of leagues, they're really making Magic Online a lot better than it has been, and I'm pretty happy about that. So let's go on to see a preview sort of what's going on next week. This weekend we have 2 Team Sealed Grand Prix. Be interesting to see how those go. Team Sealed is a fun format. It's a fun format to watch as well. And on September 16th, Kaladesh will be fully spoiled. So that's next Friday, a week from today. That also means on that day I'll be releasing the beginning of my limited review series that I always do when a new set comes out. So keep your eyes open for that. So I'm gonna have a busy Friday between recording this and that, but it'll be a fun day. It's like Christmas almost, the day that all of a set is spoiled and I finally get to go through it and see what I think about it. It's a great day. All right, so that's it for this week in MTG. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, you can put them in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it. And if you want to make sure you catch a bite-sized news update every week here on my channel, don't forget to click the subscribe button.